In this video, we're going to talk about Gunslinger Spawn's brutal and violent battle for the throne of hell. And you won't believe what happens and how it happened. Or maybe you will, but you gotta watch the video to find out. But anyways, this is a comic book breakdown of Gunslinger Spawn brutal and violent story. Issues number 25 to 30, the full story arc. Brought to you by RatedComics. Now, before we get into the content, don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel if you like content like this, and also timestamps will be in description if you wish to go from issue to issue. And also don't forget to check out RatedComics.com for some really cool limited print Rated Comics exclusives and to add some really cool Gunslinger Spawn or any other type of comics to add to your comic book collection. Support the art, support the industry. With all that being said, let's get into the content. So previously in Gunslinger Spawn, after Gunslinger receives his dinosaur gift from Dakota, Gunslinger continues to hunt for those who had destroyed his family. So we begin this issue with these guys in the warehouse. Most of the men who work in this warehouse have long ago given up leading any type of normal life. Hey, you know what? I work at a casino, so I know what kind of normal life you're kind of giving up, or normal schedule, so to speak. So the hours are night and dawn, and you know what? The pay is crap, but hey, you know, they've been doing it for years because ultimately they know no other way in life, and they're quite loyal. But as this guy's driving off with barrels in the truck, for whatever reason whatsoever, it's not important. What is important is this guy hasn't seen a horse in these parts for years, and this horse is just like in the road. The guy has to stop, and when he stops and he gets out and see what the horse is all about, the night, the air screams with the horn's protest. The horse is pissed, and this stallion doesn't flinch. In fact, he is challenging both the giant rig and the driver, and he's like so he asserts himself, and the guy's like, is this a freaking joke? Nah, bruh, it ain't no joke. It's a nightmare. The horse bucks him, so to speak. The guys fall to the ground. He runs back to the truck, and he's like, nah, I can't deal with this. But you know what? That nightmare is about to become really real, because as a knife goes behind his neck, Gunslinger Spawn's like, move and I slit your throat. I've got one question, and you better think real hard before you answer it, bruh. Those barrels you got back there, you know what's in them? Some type of chemical, boss? So you knew. You all knew. And Gunslinger Spawn is pissed. So we don't know what he does to him, at least not yet. So at the same warehouse, an hour later, these guys are like, why is Andy returning? I don't know, but I can't get him on his cell. So the truck approaches the warehouse. As one of the guys opens up the truck, we see exactly what Gunslinger Spawn does to him. And boy, that is a sight to look at. So on the other side of the warehouse, a lone security guard in a small office. Gunslinger Spawn's elimination should be simple. Shanks a knife in his neck, goes down for the count. And this guy in the office doesn't hear all that. He's pissed. And the reason why he's pissed, because he wants permits with ease, and he doesn't want no resistance. Give me the baby, no labor pains, and if I get any resistance or any kind of labor pain, you know, certificate, permit kind of speak, you guys will sign your own death certificate. You understand that? So suddenly the lights go off. He's scared, hangs up the phone. Then all of a sudden the lights go on, and there's a ring on the desk. But when he picks up the ring from his desk, the knife goes down. Phoom! Gunslinger Spawn puts a rope around his neck. Like a lion stalking its prey, he pounces on his victim before he even knew something was there. And struggle as he might, this overweight man is barely able to breathe or speak. Exactly how Gunslinger wants his prey. Shut up when you talk to me, boy. And Gunslinger Spawn tells him the last guy came up behind got a knife in his throat. Same with the guard. So be thankful this is the only rope that's burning your neck, boy. Now do me a favor. Pick up the ring. The guy picks up the ring. You recognize it, don't you? In the distance, the clacking of footsteps begin to echo. So as Gunslinger Spawn, he doesn't like distractions. He tells the guy, sit back, be tight, alright? I'm gonna be right back. So before they see him coming, Gunslinger Spawn's already squeezed the triggers, picking them off one by one, and he's careful not to do any kill shots with them because he needs them to talk. He needs them alive. Given most of these are humans, and you know, he wants to let other people know that he's on their trail. Gunslinger Spawn is looking for that smoke. You see, nothing grows one's reputation more than the tales told by scared men. Oh yeah, he'll make it easy. Do any of you want to live? That's what Gunslinger Spawn asked them, and they all nod yes. So he kneels down and tells them, then stay away from the demons, puts a bullet in his head. And Gunslinger Spawn's like, surely you didn't think that you all were human, did you? Actually, they did. They believe what they did. So a line is drawn with the aid of a demon blood that Gunslinger Spawn does on the floor. And he's like, I've got another pressing matter, gentlemen. So this is how it's gonna work. Any of you cross that line, even 1 inch past it, I promise you, it'll be the last thing you do on this earth. Otherwise, when you're good and ready, and I like my prey good and ready, limp up out of here and turn yourself in at the local sheriff's office. I'll be asking for boss for a list of the men working for him. And if I hear you're not sitting in the jail cell, your next of kin won't be able to identify what's left of your ass, alright? So now I've got things to do. Don't mess with your boy. So Gunslinger Spawn goes back to the office. It's empty, but he's not fazed by it. I know you're still in here, Wilbur. Don't come near me, I'll kill you. And Gunslinger Spawn puts down the guns like, bruh, you have no idea. I want that smoke. Give me that smoke. Make your move, please. And you can just sense a desperation in bro right there. Gunslinger pulls out his own knife and stabs himself. Now, I'm going to make sure you guys admire that for a little bit because that is some gangster looking art right there. And also, link in description if you wish to add this comic book or any of our other Rated Comics exclusives to your comic book collection. Hey, support the art, support the industry. And also, if you use the Amazon link to purchase the comic book or anything else on Amazon, hey, I do get a small commission off of the Amazon link if you wish to support your boy like that. But with all that being said, we got to get back into this gangsta ass content. So Gunslinger Spawn, after doing the deed to himself, tells him, you think a knife kills me? Nah, bro. He stands over him like, you know what? Boss style. You knew I'd come for you one day, Wilbur. And you know exactly why I'm here. Picks him up and you can see the fear in his eyes. Your gang was the first to come for my sister. Someone's lying to you, says Wilbur. Amy told me, and my sister don't lie. But let's talk about your wife instead. On your good days, I'll assume that you love her. So my question is, what would you do if someone was going to harm her? What would you do? Tell me. And Wilbur's like, well, I'll protect her. That's why you'll protect a fat man. Plops him back on the ground. By whatever means possible, right? That's how you protect her? He says yes. What if you couldn't? What if someone killed her instead? Then what? Well, then I'll hunt them down, says Wilbur. You hunt them down, right? By whatever means necessary. That's exactly why I'm here. He holds up Wilbur's wife's ring. And given what you did to my sister, how do you think I've got this ring? And Wilbur's like, if you touched my wife? Oh, you think I was gentle when I took it off? Nah, boy, I was rough. Her screams, you should have heard them. I'll kill you, says Wilbur. Especially when I took her fingers off. What's her name again? Says Gunslinger Spawn. He's taunting him even more. Never mind. I'm more curious about your daughter's names. Seems like a strange choice. You weren't the only one that loved your sister, says Wilbur. She understood what needed to be done and why, unlike you, she knew it. She knew it was for the greater good. She's dead, says Gunslinger Spawn. How in the hell is that for the greater good? But before you get into deeper trouble, telling me another lie, let me tell you something. Amy didn't care about you, says Wilbur. That's a lie. He puts a knife on the ground right next to his money maker right there. But he ain't gonna be making no more money after tonight. Your wife, your family, they all know all about you and what you do, how you hurt people. Your wife, she seemed quite shocked after I told her everything. You must have told her a bunch of lies too. And correction from earlier, that was a sketch that Gunslinger Spawn did, sketching that knife carving on the ground. So Gunslinger tells him she'll never forgive you. So you have a choice to make. Let your wife kill you or let me kill you, because I promise I'll be back. Or you can do the right thing. And we just gonna imply what the right thing is. He looks at the knife and I guess he does the right thing for the greater good, and we gotta admire that real quick. Get your popcorn ready. Alright, so elsewhere at Wilbur's mansion. When's daddy coming home, says the daughter. Don't know. He's working late tonight, says the wife. He always works late. But you could tell by that dialogue, when she asked Amy, her daughter, if she saw her wedding ring, you could tell that Gunslinger Spawn was calling his bluff right there. And man, bro just took his life, but you know what? Gunslinger Spawn's on that power revenge right there. Vengeful, bloody quest for revenge. And that is the end of this issue of Gunslinger Spawn, issue number 25, Gunslinger Spawn's Vendetta, a bloody quest for revenge. What you guys think of the comic book? Comment below, let me know. So previously on Gunslinger Spawn, after taking his vengeance out on a man from his past, Gunslinger Spawn moves on to his next target. Now there was 50 men in total that Gunslinger Spawn wanted to take revenge on. And even though these men were not like crazy men trying to protect the lands, at least in his foresight, he should have known better. He should have had his guard up. It was why he was only able to kill 46 of them, because there's still 4 left. Now even though Gunslinger Spawn is in a very compromising position, he can't remember how long they tortured him, just that everything felt felt hot, like something was burning inside of him. So whoever this guy is going to work on Gunslinger Spawn like, yeah, you know what you waiting for, says Gunslinger Spawn, just do it already. Alright, so he shoots one arrow, shoots the second arrow, and shoots the third arrow, just torching him some more. And this cowboy, we don't quite see his face, he just takes the arrow out and shoots it again. They needed Gunslinger Spawn to tell him things, like what happened, like how he got so strong, and what it was that Amy said to him before she died. That's why he's on his revenge tale. In Gunslinger Spawn's eyes, they can all go to hell. As far as he was concerned, even when one of them used her special magic on him, he didn't give him nothing. And everything else is kind of a blur because he's just been tortured in so much pain, but you know, he's a G like that. He ain't saying nothing. He ain't got no shiv. I mean, he wants the smoke, he got the smoke, and he's in a very compromising position for that smoke. So this guide says, alright boys, saddle him up. We're done here. But he ain't dead yet. I know, I want it that way, as a message to the others. So they cut him down and just lay there and they ride away those 4. And I imagine those 4 are the one that those are the 4 remaining on Gunslinger Spawn's target for his revenge. Here, Hell Spawn, I think you're missing this. And this guy tosses his face to the ground. Now, this is a callback to Spawn's universe. And I did cover that in a previous Gunslinger Spawn video where it was a pre-tell, kind of like a prequel to his revenge into the series. Now, Gunslinger Spawn still doesn't remember much. Only part he remembers was that he was burning. It was warm, and that kept him warm in this burning sensation. And he learned afterwards that that burning sensation was called hate. Now, today he's still carrying that hate around since someone took that away from him, so he carves in his arm. Now, he's here in his godforsaken time where not much makes sense, except however Spawn brought him here, he also dragged along a few of his enemies too, and he fixing to meet each and every one of them as blood just drips, and he dips his bullets into that blood. Even if it costs him the last drop of his blood, he got to get his revenge back. He's got to do it, because he should have died that day, not Amy, not his sister. So for their sake, Gunslinger Spawn knows that they're coming and he wants that smoke, and that's in today. So it'll make him feel much better when he spills their blood too. And that's carrying on into what happened. And what happened is, in Spawn Issue 300, Spawn created a time rift causing him to come here, which I did cover that in a previous video in a prequel, which I'll put at the end of this video, as well as a link in description. So now that Gunslinger Spawn is, you know, he's ready for that smoke and he's got places to go, he's got to admit though, he's starting to lose his patience, waiting around while Spawn figures out how to get him back to where he belonged. And if he uses his powers like he think he can, then there's a chance he could undo everything that already happened to him and to his sister Amy. So now back in the flashback, the guy comes back, one of the 4 men left in Gunslinger Spawn's revenge. Saddle him up, Truman, I ain't done yet. So he puts his foot on his chest as like a very demeaning way, like, hey, taste the poop on my foot, you know what I mean? And he shoots him right there. I need him to know that I was here too if he ever wakes up. Oh, he did wake up. Like he said, he remembers only the important parts. All right. Like why those 50 uniformed men came for him in the first place. They heard, like everyone else did, what he did out in Amy's ranch. He was supposed to protect his sister. He was supposed to save her, but that didn't happen. They got to her long before Gunslinger Spawn was able to arrive. No matter how fast he rode that horse, and God knows he rode that horse hard, they didn't even know that Gunslinger Spawn had a sister. And that's, yo man, speaking of invincible right here, we're getting more gory with this stuff, but you know what? I'm all here for it. We just got to build on that compounding effect and that compounding trauma of his sister just losing her life like that. And that's why he wants his revenge. He'll never forgive himself for that night. So elsewhere, Taylor wakes up, and that's where we left off in a couple issues where Gunslinger Spawn left Taylor with the Wahia. Taylor wakes up like, where's Gunslinger Spawn? Whoa, slow it down, says Wahia. You've been asleep for some time. He's gone now. Where did he go? He didn't say. But eventually, Gunslinger Spawn will be the one to realize that he's the one that left alone, not you. He's alone, not you, Taylor, all right? And Wahia tells in your warrior spirit, though it's still buried, it's connected to him. He doesn't know your true nature yet, but soon he'll see it. He'll feel it. So will you. That day will be the day you soar. And Taylor's like, dude, get your hands off of me, man. I don't need to hear none of this. I'm trying to get up out of here. And then Wahia's like, man, don't walk away, man. You're connected. You need him as much as he needs you. Neither of you knows that yet. So Wahia reveals that Taylor is marked. Why do you think that is? That's why you're sick. That's why it's on your chest. Your destiny, because your time is coming. Shut up, old man. Taylor ain't trying to hear all that. but his bodyguard's like, you better sit down, boy. You ain't got nowhere to go. And Taylor's like, you know, you better go screw yourself, Holder. What are you gonna do? You're gonna hold me prisoner? That's how you native holy men get your way, by muscling people around? You're a joke. And so to calm him down, while he is like, he just waves his hand and puts Taylor back to sleep. And he feels sorry that he felt that way, but it's for his own benefit. And Gunslinger Spawn is just riding away, pissed off, you know what I mean? He wanted Amy to be okay, but the blood that spilled, he couldn't stop it. It just kept pouring from her, recalling the events of when her life was ended. She wasn't like him. She wasn't like them. No matter how much they changed her, she was still human, but he failed her, just like the rest of his family. But they left something behind, something they couldn't take, and that's Gunslinger Spawn's hate, and he just morphs himself up, like ready for that action. But damn it, they didn't try. So as he's riding away, he gets blasted by this beam right in the chest on his bike. Get your ass up, cowboy. I got some unfinished business with you. So even though Gunslinger Spawn wants his revenge, and this guy could have ended Gunslinger Spawn earlier, no, he wants that smoke because he's unleashing his own vengeance in a plot twist where Gunslinger Spawn should have unleashed his. And that is the end of this issue of Gunslinger Spawn, issue number 26. What you guys think of the comic book? Comment below, let me know. Hey man, I'm loving how this is all coming together, and I'm loving how you want your revenge. There's 4 men left, but these 4 men came prepared. Now, previously in Gunslinger Spawn, Gunslinger exacts his revenge on a foe from the past, meanwhile getting hunted from someone in the future. So we begin exactly where we end off in Gunslinger Spawn issue number 26, now that we're in 27. So this guy blasts Gunslinger Spawn off of his back. He tells him to get up. I thought you were tougher than that. Though, it's been some time since we last spoke. It's about 160 years since then. So he kicks over Gunslinger Spawn's bike and tells him, you won't be needing this piece of junk. And Gunslinger gets up like, yo man, do we know each other? Take a good look. What do you think? Gunslinger recognizes him. Carl? That's right. Knew you wouldn't forget me. Well, it has been a long time, but I got a question. Was that you who blew me off that bike? It was. Didn't recognize you at first, but you dropped this. Kind of weird, like you put a hole in my chest, now we cool like that? But it's gonna take a little bit more than an apology to accept your apology, but okay, all things are forgiven here. So Carl tells Gunslinger, you were going pretty fast, didn't know it was you, not used to seeing you on anything but a horse. Well yeah, but why are you here, says Gunslinger. And Carl's like, really? You gonna ask me that? That's not really a warm welcome from a friend. Well, I could say the same thing too. Well, I told you, you was moving fast. Well, that still doesn't answer my question, says Gunslinger. Look, I'm sure you're still confused, says Carl, about a lot of things. But you hear that noise? That's them sirens. That means authorities. That means we gotta take this conversation elsewhere. So the motorcycle is disintegrated in seconds, and no need to leave behind any clues, says Carl. And Gunslinger's like, yo, I got this dinosaur that Dakota gave me. It's like, nah, bruh. This is the 21st century. There's better ways to travel, so hold on. This might hurt. As a transport for Gunslinger Spawn, it kind of hurts. I mean, he hasn't mastered the art of traveling amongst the shadows just yet, and each time he does travel in the shadows, it reminds him how weak he is compared to them other hell spawns. But that's a topic for another day. So as they get there and they get their bearings, Carl looks at him like, look, I'm sure you're trying to process things. So when I heard that you time traveled, I mean, what's the last year that you remember? And Gunslinger's like 1864 as he gets up and recoups, you know? Well then, all this modern machinery has got to be a lot to take in, right? It's a lot to handle. So Gunslinger Spawn's like, I don't care about all that. I was hunting down Cliff Truman. Remember him? Oh yeah, he's the rancher outside of Tulsa. Well, he did more than ranching, and just like you, somehow he's still around. I'm curious how that works. So Carl goes into a little backstory before he even gets into all that. So I guess he might have something to do with that Cliff Truman guy. So Carl tells Gunslinger about the time that he was hunting his bear. He takes his shot, misses a shot, and after that he goes and pursues that bear because, you know, hunters gotta eat because we hungry like that. But though, in hindsight, he came across a camp. And even though they might have been hiding something or from someone or from something, if he had a bit of sense in his mind, which he didn't have at that time, he should have left the moment he saw them. But he gets approached from behind. And Carl continues to tell Gunslinger, the thing is, you and I wouldn't have met if I had left, and I regret that. You seem to be the only one that gave a shit about me at that time, even more than me sometimes. So what did those guys do? They interrogate him by means of a whipping. And they whooped him so bad that he still walks around with a limp even after the fact. So they tell him, you ready to spell out the truth, boy? I told you, says Carl. You just don't want to hear it. I was hunting. Nothing more than that. Them lies. That's the problem. I don't believe you. Lies. Mister, you ain't listened, I said. And then Mister's like, I ain't trying to hear them lies. You gonna see this whip. So mind your tongue. As he goes back, whoops him again. And that's gotta hurt. So that's when Carl says he don't remember much after that, but that's when you came. Or the guy with the whip tells the men, tie him to a horse, he needs a dragon. So before they can drag his ass and get the truth out of him, well, Gunslinger comes in, knife to the bro's neck, and that blood is nasty and tasty at the same time. So Carl tells Gunslinger, I know you never told me how you beat them, and you probably will never will, and I respect that, but I wish I could have seen you that day, cause I bet you were something while you were going to work. And since then, I've seen you shoot. Them boys had no idea what was coming their way. Gunslinger Spawn goes to work, blows the smoke, and they have no idea. So this guy with the whip is like, oh no, not up in here, not up in my house. But before he can whip Gunslinger, he catches a whip with his hand, pulls him out the horse. And now the guy's like, oh, so you're that Gunslinger fella we've been hearing tales about, huh? They say you're a ghost. Gunslinger Spawn's like, oh, I am a ghost, but I'm gonna cut you some slack. Here's your water. You're gonna walk back to town, wherever you came from, and tell him you've seen the ghost. Looks like you've got about 3 days of water. So Gunslinger Spawn picks up Carl, and Carl's like, look, man, I remember you even took care of my wounds before we headed out. You didn't speak another word until we got to the next town. So now back to the present. Carl's like, you never did talk much, but I guess that's just your way. And still, every time you checked up on me, I should have told you how much that meant to me. And given how I found out you had your own set of problems to deal with, what I went through was nothing compared to you. So here's a smoke. Gunslinger's like, nah, no thanks. So if you've been around since 1864, how? That'll make you over 150 years old. Well, let's just say something's got strange over time, says Carl. But before I forget, what did happen to Amy? She's dead, says Gunslinger. I know you told me, but who killed her? And Gunslinger responds with, the ones I'm hunting. You know things about that? So Carl walks away to the shadows of a nearby tree. Faint sounds of gears begin to whir. As I said, says Carl, strange things happened to me along the way. So not able to see exactly what just transpired, Gunslinger watches curiously as Carl walks to a tree. For a moment, Gunslinger Spawn thinks that maybe this guy could be the exact kind of help he needs. So he picks up a tree, lifts it up, and I don't know what he's about to demonstrate. And Carl begins to talk again. He thanks Gunslinger Spawn for saving him all that they went through together when they were young, but the truth is, they aren't kids anymore. And to get hit with a tree branch of that weight, of that magnitude, you know how they say if there's an earthquake in the woods, will anyone hear it, or like a tree timbers or something like that? Well, that tree timber on Gunslinger Spawn, somebody's definitely got to hear that right now. Look at that thum on there, that thud and that impact. Now this guy takes out his blaster and tells Gunslinger Spawn, and now I know who the real enemy is. Okay, so we took a whole issue just to establish this and go right back to where we came from, just in a different scene, but we got a backstory behind it. But that is the end of this issue of Gunslinger Spawn, issue number 27. One thing I'm curious about is how is Gunslinger Spawn gonna tie into Spawn 350 when we only got a couple issues left of Gunslinger Spawn before it all ties together? But Gunslinger Spawn is in the real world right now, and Spawn and King Spawn are over here taking place in hell, and the same thing with Scorched. But that's going to be very interesting how this all ties together. With all that being said, what you guys think of the video? Comment below, let me know. So previously in Gunslinger Spawn, a man from Gunslinger Spawn's past confronts him about the betrayal perpetrated against him. Since being pulled into our modern times, Gunslinger has pretty much been a loner. His personality was never one that needed a bunch of people in his life. In fact, the fewer who knew he was alive, the better. So he only let a few into his circle, which makes this betrayal all the more hurtful. Because Gunslinger Spawn could have really used a friend in this century. So he asked Carl, what's going on, what they tell you? Nothing, says Carl. They opened my eyes is what they did. They told me the truth to who my real enemies are and who I can trust. And who's that, Carl, says Gunslinger. Well, it ain't you, that's for damn sure. I wanted to believe you were my friend, Gunslinger, but you're not. And Gunslinger's like, yo, man, I am your friend. Shut up. They said you'll deny everything. Remember what you taught me back when we were young? You said survival is the only thing that matters. If you're alive, that's the victory. Do you still believe that, says Carl. Gunslinger Spawn gets up and tells him it's the only thing I believe, and he fixes his hat. What about you? What'd they give you to stop being the man you once were? I said it wasn't them. It was all the decades I lived through, seeing how sick the world can be. And Carl's still holding him at gunpoint, like ready to blast off on him. He continues to tell Gunslinger he was told how men can twist anything to suit their needs. You got lucky. You got to skip all that. Well, I didn't. And he's referencing when Gunslinger Spawn time jumped from 1800 to the modern century now. So Carl tells him, and I learned how cunning men could be, how they pretend to be your friends. But you weren't. You killed my family. I know that now. It's time. You paid for that now. And Gunslinger Spawn knows his former friend's thoughts have been poisoned. And once that happens, there's no reason with that kind of mindset. So Gunslinger Spawn puts his arms out like, alright bro, then do it. I won't resist. And Carl's like, what? You think you can't die? I've seen the newest Hellspawn. You're nothing compared to him. You're right, says Gunslinger. With the proper method, I can die. But before I do, you still haven't told me what they give you. Time. They gave me time and clarity, says Carl. I got myself into trouble back then. Messed with the wrong people. The kind that don't give a crap about anything or anyone. Especially those that get in their way. And with that fall, it broke nearly every bone in my body. I wish I died that day. Instead, someone found me, took me in, kept me alive somehow. Took years before I could even do the simple things again, like feed myself. But this man, the one you're hunting, he made sure I was in as little pain as possible. Don't really know why he did the thing that he did. He said he saw something in me. Don't know what it was because I couldn't even walk properly for the longest time. My body didn't even move right anymore. Then he told me he can keep me alive, way past any normal living man. And he did. But during that time, I still couldn't move much, so I had to wait. For decades, I waited. See, the doctors couldn't fix me. They didn't have the know-how, so I began to learn about things, heard about what was happening outside my window. They taught me how to read, they taught me how to write, to understand the true nature of man. You don't be understanding Hitler's nature, alright? Some were better than others, but the lust for power was the thing they all had in common. Eventually, the waiting was over. Technology and science was finally able to help me. And Mr. Cliff Truman, he made sure to tell me about those that lusted for power the most, and why someone like you would pretend to be my friend, and how someone could justify all their killing. So Gunslinger's hounds are ready to come for his protection, and Gunslinger Spawn tells him, never pull a gun unless someone pulls theirs first. He told me you would say that. Because it's true, says Gunslinger, but the truth left you long ago. That's a shame, Carl. Don't you patronize me, says Carl. Let me ask, why thank me then? If you were fixing to kill me, why tell me you appreciated my kindness? And that's a reference to the previous issue. Was trying to get you to confess. Tell me how you ruined my life, says Carl. Well, that wasn't me. You did that on your own. So one of the wolves steps on the twig. He spins at the sound behind him. Because Carl was right. Gunslinger Spawn would have died tonight. His Hellspawn body would not have been able to withstand the ionic blast of Carl's bioweapon. As the weakest of the Hellspawn, Gunslinger knew that, so he devised another plan to ensure his survival. And that's to stall him, to buy him some time until his reinforcements appeared, which he knew they would. So Gunslinger Spawn blasts Carl with his necroplasm. The animals smelling blood close in on their prey. Stay back, my pets, he's mine. Sadly, one of them didn't get back fast enough, and Carl takes the advantage. They said you had to bond with the animals, so you move and I'll break its freaking neck. You hear what I said Carl? With a wave, he sends the other wolves away. But Gunslinger Spawn is getting weaker by the second, struggling to host supernatural powers from both heaven and hell. He needs to act quick. He ascends into the air, ascending until he's about to pass out, then boomerang back the way he came at double the speed. Impacts, kaboom! And while we look at that and admire that real quick, hey, don't forget to check out RatedComics.com for some really cool limited print Rated Comics exclusives to add to your comic book collection. Support the art, support the industry. Now let's get back into the content. So Gunslinger Spawn emerges from the dust and debris. Hey there, boy, he says to his horse. Sorry to spook you like that. He makes sure all the animals are safe before mounting up, even though he feels weak himself. But today, he survived. And for him, that's the victory. Clap back at its best. Though with the Battle of Hell's Throne going on, he's not sure how long that will last. In the next issue, they're going to talk about the impact and the blowout from Spawn issue number 350, the Battle of Hell's Throne. And that is the end of this issue of Gunslinger Spawn, issue number 28. So previously, following the events of Spawn issue number 350, Gunslinger Spawn has become the target of the forces of heaven. It's been weeks since the change, when everyone endowed directly by heaven and hell with supernatural powers suddenly all became mortal, altering their strategies on how to survive. We see Gunslinger Spawn Javier in human form in a hotel or motel, but no Holiday Inn. So for some, it's been a time to take advantage of being on equal footing with all of your enemies and associates. For others, it's been a time to retrench, attempting to sort out how vulnerable they might be and how long their nagging sickness will continue. And you can tell Gunslinger Spawn Javier, he's had that condition for a while now, and he's hurt and his body's not healing fast enough in his opinion. And it makes his entire body feel like it's on fire as he picks away at it. He takes a shower, but he's not feeling sorry for himself. He won't. For Javier, it's more complicated than that. Given that he's illiterate and knows nearly nothing about modern tech, making him an easier target. There's a knock on the door, he gets his strap and he opens the door like, "Who is that? How can I help you, ma'am?" Well, keep in mind, Gunslinger Spawn's from the 1800s, so he's talking like that in the 2000s. "Would you like your room cleaned today?" says Linda, the clean lady, and Gunslinger Spawn is like, "Nah, I'm doing fine, no thank you." "Suit yourself," she says, "but it's been 3 days already. Eventually, I need to get in that room and clean it, alright?" Well, she doesn't say alright, but you know how it goes. So elsewhere, hundreds of miles to the east, and I think this guy is Forsaken, and Forsaken is having a conversation with these other angels, God's rebellions, or now that they're on Earth, they ain't got no powers. So they're talking about, "I thought you said this would be easy. Now that we should have some results by now, Gunslinger Spawn should be out of the picture." So this guy in the glasses is like, "Our agents are just as vulnerable as Gunslinger Spawn is. How many agents did you send?" And I think that's the Forsaken. I'm just gonna go with that. 20, but since we've lost contact with 8 so far, and this guy's like, "Man, I'm afraid of that." It appears losing his power may have actually helped Gunslinger Spawn, at least from the few reports I've gotten. You see, he's no longer the weakest Hellspawn like he was before. He's equal. In fact, since he's always lived with limited powers, he's honed other skills to compensate for that. That could move him to the top of his ranks and make him quite dangerous. Not something we need while so much fighting is happening inside in our side. And that's referencing the events of King Spawn issue number 31, because there's some turmoil between their side and who's going on and who's getting weapons or Forsaken, and now they need to use Spawn to kind of level the playing field. It's definitely like all this manipulation going on here. So Linda goes back to her quarters to get like some more cleaning utensils or whatnot, and these gang members are like, "Hey Linda, when are you gonna come work for me? You don't need this place anymore." And Linda's like, "Man, I got work to do, leave me alone." "Don't be like that, girl. Just want to let you know again how much I like you. You're a fine woman. We could both make a lot of money off of that." "What you say, Linda?" "Well, we know what they're trying to do, but Linda ain't trying to have none of that." And Javier is like, "Linda, sweetheart." He saves the day and tells her, "Don't forget about our date tonight, right?" "Didn't think so." So this gangster's like, "This your boy, Linda, or some dumbass that don't know his place?" Javi, standing behind Linda, opens his jacket, briefly flashing his guns and knives. "You gentlemen best be moving on, alright?" It takes a moment, but they do. So Linda chases down Javier like, "Where do you think you're going?" And Javier's like, "To my room." "No, turn around, how dare you? I didn't ask you to butt into my business. I can handle those guys." "I'm sure you could, but where I'm from, a lady usually says thanks when the man looks out for her." "Are you serious right now?" says Linda. "You sound like my old man, and that ain't a good thing. When a woman wants help, she'll ask for it. You need to watch more TikTok videos, and you know dang well Gunslinger Spawn's not gonna get no TikTok reference, alright? Sometimes even guys barely get TikTok references." Okay, now I'm probably just speaking for myself. But anyways, Linda tells Javier that now that you stepped in, these guys are gonna harass me even more, so you made things worse. And Javier's like, "Ma'am, I'm sorry if I did that. My name is Linda. Stop calling me ma'am. I'm over that crap, alright? This is the 2000s. Stop acting like you're some kind of Tarantino character." And again, Javier's like, "I don't get no Tarantino reference. I don't get no TikTok reference, alright?" So a screech happens and a truck goes over Javier's bike, and Javier's like, "Oh, hell to the no. What the heck is going on?" And Linda's like, "Was that your ride?" "Not anymore," says Javier. "Well, what are you gonna do about it?" "Reckon I'll have to figure that out." So he goes to his motel, plops himself back onto the bed. He drifts off to sleep, wondering why his wound isn't healing anymore. Why? It's been over 2 weeks. We go into a flashback of what happened in the events of Spawn issue number 350 for Gunslinger Spawn's perspective. He was reluctant to return to hell, knowing that what might be waiting for him there. But if he was ever going to gain revenge on those that corrupted his sister Amy, there had to be an Earth to return to and a ruler on Hell's throne that would have destroyed it. And that's referencing Spawn issue number 350. So when the Flash happened, that was the moment that Nyx took over the throne of Hell. Mysteriously, they were on Hell, then mysteriously they went back to Earth with empty weapons and a human form and no powers, and crippled wings as some of the angels fall flat to their death. Silence falls as they all cope with what just happened. Our powers, they're gone. But they all look at Gunslinger Spawn like, if our power is a gun, so is his. We got to go in and do some hurt on this boy. And Gunslinger Spawn's like, all right. The warriors barely notice him reach behind his back. He knows 3 things are for certain. 1, he's outnumbered. 2, he won't show any fear. And 3, if he's gonna lose, they're gonna damn well know they've been in a fight, all right? To his credit, he lasts far longer than he should have. In the end though, it wasn't good enough, as a knife shanks Gunslinger Spawn in the midsection. And guess what? That is the first real pain he felt since the powers have been removed. The only reason he didn't die was the intervention of his mystical pet. Mysteriously, it had not lost its powers. And as he bled, he knew he'd have to live another day to fight another day. So his pet wakes him up back into the present time. He thanks him for licking him, and he needs to give him a name one day because we don't know what bro's name is. Behind, a door creaks open and it's Linda. And she asks, may she come in? Hope you don't mind, I used my master key, that's how I got in. You don't look so good through the window, says Linda. Why is she peeping into the business like that? And Javier is like, okay, it's all good. And she's like, well, I didn't mean to scare you. But about that, I want to apologize for taking my anger on you. It's been a tough year. Got no one in my life right now, and I shouldn't have said what I said to you earlier. I'm sorry. And Javier is like, well, then maybe I can help you with that. I'd like to make you an offer. And she's like, well, is all that money in the bed yours? You a bank robber, a drug dealer or something? Nah, baby girl, I came by honestly, says Javier. So what's the offer, says Linda. I need a new ride, says Javier. And you've got one of the metal cars, and if you'd hear me out, I think I can explain how you and I can make a good combo, and I'll make it well worth your time. Hear me out, baby girl. And that is the end of Gunslinger Spawn issue number 29. Obviously a slow start to Gunslinger Spawn issue 29 and a slow start to King Spawn issue number 31, given the events of what happened in Spawn issue number 350. And because it's a new ruler, a new artist, and a new direction with these stories, we gotta pave the way and foreplay slowly into the new direction of this story, however it's going to unfold, which I imagine is going to be pretty good, but we got to drag it out for a little bit. But with all that being said, what you guys think of Gunslinger Spawn issue number 29? Comment below, let me know. Previously in Gunslinger Spawn, Linda takes Javi on a cross-country journey while he attempts to recoup from his injuries. Now forgive me because I'm just getting over a cold and starting to get my voice back, but when it comes to Spawn and some of this content, yo boy got to drop it off because 1, we hungry like that, and 2, this brother on RatedComics gonna start feeding y'all, so let's get into it, man. So Linda and Javi been on the road a few hours, and with Javier drifting off to sleep, it's given Linda time to reflect. Like, why is she even with this car with the stranger? Of course she needs the money he offered, but was it a smart move for her to take it? Is she even safe with him? So she gets at the stop sign and she wonders which way to go, and she asks Javi that while she's still thinking about all that, like, why am she even doing all this, So Javier is like, it doesn't matter, you pick. Well, since I don't know where we're going, it's tough to pick, bruh. Then she sees it, the thing he's been trying to hide, his wound. She's obviously startled, so she wants to go in and take a closer look. And she gets out the car like, this is out of control. I didn't sign up for this stuff. This is some bull jive, man. So she paces talking to herself in front of the car for 2 minutes before getting back in, after she calms down. And she tells Javier, we need to get you to a hospital. You're bleeding everywhere. Javier's like, nah, we ain't going to no damn hospital. Forget that. So Javier tells her, please, I'm begging you, let's just keep it moving, all right? So she's like, I don't know if we should do that. Her better judgment's kicking in. Looks like you're dying. And Javier gets out the car to prove a point, that it's just a scratch. He got it from a fight with the other day, from the previous issue. So he gets up and he tells her, I've had far worse before this, I promise you. Besides, look at me, nothing can hurt this. He starts flexing. And she's like, bro, that ain't funny, all right? So against her better judgment, she finally agrees and goes back in the car. She tells him, fine, but I don't like any of this, all right? You hear me? Not one bit. And just letting you know, if I'm getting back in this car, I'm not gonna do anything illegal for you, all right? I'm not doing none of that. And I sure as hell don't want no dead body in my car, so don't be dying on me now. And Javier's like, girl, I'm not gonna die on you. Come on now with your fine. No, he didn't say that, but that just sounds funny though. So she's like, okay, well, at least let me get you cleaned up. We're gonna go into town, and if you die on me, I'm still gonna get paid, right? And Javier's like, I like you, girl. You got some spunk too. Oh, shut up. But just don't bleed on my car seats, all right? So they exchange funny dialogue while they're going into town. What town are they going into? Well, we're gonna find out later on. As Linda lectures Javier and peppers him with questions, which he answers in half-truths, the inevitable eventually happens. Javier needs to pee, so he gets out, breaks the seal, if you will. You guys remember those from your college days, right? Or maybe from your earlier 20s. You know what I'm talking about, breaking the seal. We've all been there. That's unless you don't drink. So Javier asks her, any idea when we might be getting closer to Gettysburg? obviously there's a sign right there saying when they're going to get to Gettysburg. So Javier gets back in the car and Linda asks him a personal question. Can you read? And Javier has that guilt on his face. So she tells him, you don't have to be embarrassed. I'm not educated much myself. And Javier's like, well, it's why I asked you for help. Oh, no problem. Well, we can talk about this later, but let's take care of your little injury first. So they get to Gettysburg and she goes into the pharmacy. Now, obviously she tells Javier to stay put, but Javier's curiosity though gets the better of him. So he takes a walk and he sees diamonds in the window, not knowing that it's just displayed diamonds, but you know what? He just thinks it's the darnest thing. Now, these local town folks notice Javier is not from around here, boy, and Javier's like, yeah, I know, but what gives you the impression? Yo, woke ass Bumper gave us the impression. So Javier's like, I don't understand what that means, because keep in mind, the brother can't read. So the townspeople tell him it means we like things quiet around here, boy. Alright, so one of the guys notices Javier's little pet that he got from Dakota in previous issues, the dinosaur that could turn into a horse. So Javier gets pissed, tells him that's mine, and they're like, nah bruh, back up. That's payment for coming into this town with that bull jive. So they leave and they're like, come on boys, let's go show off what we found. So Linda gets out the pharmacy, but she's wondering where Gunslinger Spawn, or in that case, Javier, went. So 42 minutes later, these guys exit Steve's bar. They're drunk, they're laughing and hollering, reminiscing stupid jokes about the one-eyed nun and this and that. But Gunslinger Spawn's like, nah bruh, turn around, what do you want? And Gunslinger Spawn's like, that's easy, I want my pet. And he looks like he's about to stand on business right now. And these brothers like, come on now, you know we already ate, we already drink, we ain't got time for all this, so you just bought yourself some trouble. But Gunslinger Spawn's movement is so fast that they barely see it. And Gunslinger Spawn doesn't care, he just gets his needed effect, cutting the three of them down to 2. Now he's hoping they now get smart because he wants that smoke, but they don't. So as they pick up the gun, Gunslinger Spawn shoots the gun out the way. Javi knows what he wants to do, but he tempers himself. I mean, yeah, he better temper himself. He's about to go John Wick Gunslinger Spawn status. And by the way, I did watch some John Wick the past few days, but I had no voice. That was really fun, man. It's kind of good to be sick and just catch up on old action movies. But anyways, so in a flash, he cuts the 2 of them down to 1. So this guy's like, all right, bro, you want your pet? I got him right here, but drop your gun before I break its freaking neck. And they have a stare down. And this guy's like, yo, if you were going to shoot me, you'd have done it by now. But Gunslinger Spawn holsters his gun. He knows he won't need it to win as the pet, the lizard, the dinosaur starts getting ready to morph into something you already know what it's going to be. And that something is a mystic fire burning the man's flesh, and the flames arise, transforming the tiny creature into one we've only read about in Greek mythology, where your ass gets burned. The man stands stunned at what he's witnessed to until the horse kicks him with all his might. And that kind of kick, you know that's got to do some damage. So the first guy, Gunslinger Spawn, goes up to him while he's hanging upside down, and he tells him, yes, everything you just saw was real. Your eyes weren't playing tricks on you. But here's what I'm guessing. If you're a smart man, and right now that's doubtful, you won't tell anyone about this, will you? You know why? If you do, they'll lock you up. They'll say you're some kind of crazy man talking about a tiny lizard turning into a horse made of fire. Bet that won't go over very well, would it? So I can wait till help comes, or we can both go our own separate ways. Your choice. No, brother's like, no, we good. Yeah, thought so, says Gunslinger Spawn. So he takes care of business and he goes back to the car where Linda's waiting at. And yo, girl is in the car, and she lets it be known to Javier that I was in the car alone. You walked off. There's a car full of cash. You left the door unlocked. Someone could have took it, and I could have took the car and the cash my damn self and left you here. And Gunslinger Spawn's like, yeah, but you did it because you're good with Melinda. That's a special gift. Oh yeah? Well, next time I might not just be so damn special. That money's looking tempting. Anyway, and I'm hungry like that. Got some stuff for your wound. We need to stop and fix you up. I can't take this anymore. So Javier's pet that Dakota gave him gets up, and she freaks the hell out. Javier tries to calm her down like, Linda, it's okay, we're okay, relax, it's my pet. I should have told you about it. But before he can finish the sentence, he tells her to stop. She comes to a screeching halt, and he can't believe what he sees. They're still here. The logo atop the building is the mark used by those who conspired in wiping out his family. 150 years ago wasn't a logo, it was their symbol. One they brand onto their victims' burning flesh. Now Gunslinger Spawn has some business in this town, and he's looking for that smoke. And I believe I do recall seeing that logo in a previous issue of Gunslinger Spawn. I just cannot recall. But anyways, that is the end of Gunslinger Spawn issue number 30. What you guys think of the comic book? Comment below, let me know. Also, link in description if you wish to purchase this comic book and or any of our other limited print Rated Comics exclusives to add to your comic book collection. Support the art, support the industry. Lastly, usually I say this video is sponsored by coffee, but because of my voice and you guys put up with it, this video is sponsored by tea. So if you'd like to buy a boy a cup of tea, or when I do feel better, it's gonna go back to coffee, link in description, or donate to the super thanks. But the greatest compliment you guys can do is by liking this video and subscribing to Rated Comics YouTube channel. Thank you again for watching. Until next time.